Cryptocurrency started off 2023 very strong, led by Bitcoin. Everyone's now starting to ask, will altcoins continue? At Collective Shift, we've been doing monthly reports on 5 altcoins that we're watching, that we've been keeping our eyes on, and we're sort of covering them in their outlook ahead. Polygon is one that we've been focusing for a while now, and there are reasons why we believe that it's going to continue sort of gaining traction and attention. Nick, I'll hand it over to you to sort of walk through where Polygon is at the moment and what you're like.
Cheers, Matt. Let's jump right into Polygon. They've had always in the news, whether it's partnerships, a lot of technical development that goes on at Polygon, and now we've seen another huge month down at Polygon. One of the major talking points this month was the launch of its zkEVM. Now, for those who may not be technical and are daunted by a lot of the terminology, it just simply means a separate network that can help scale Ethereum that is very easy to create applications on. So it's as easy as creating an application on Ethereum and building it directly on this alternative network. The reason why it's such a big deal is because there's a lot of other of these networks that perhaps it's not as easy to create and build on. So what Polygon are trying to do is try to scale Ethereum, but at the same time try and preserve how easy it is to build on it. So we are starting to see a lot more projects express interest in building on Polygon's new network. And this is notably different to its proof of stake network. Maybe we can just jump into the differences there, Matt.
Yeah, sure, Nick. I do remember, you covering this all the way back when it used to be called MATIC Network, Polygon. And, when MATIC Network became Polygon, as I get up on my screen here, and sort of one of the big things, even back then, criticisms of MATIC were that, as it got here, it was just a proof of stake chain or sort of a chain that sort of, it's like a sidecar, essentially, a side chain to Ethereum. The big criticism was, hey, this doesn't really secure or inherit its sort of security from Ethereum. And sort of since you covered it then in sort of February 2021, the project has come a long way. Could you maybe just talk about where it's at the moment with respect to this sort of side chain and how this zkEVM sort of helps Polygon sort of evolve?
When I covered it in the rebrand, you talk about that separate proof of stake network. In this rebrand, why it was so important to cover was because they basically said they were going to align themselves 100% with Ethereum and help scale Ethereum, becoming sort of a scaling hub. So if we fast forward, 2 years now since that post went live, we've got one of the most major steps towards this ecosystem, because traditionally the Polygon network, has been proof of stake and it's been widely criticized for being extremely centralized. Now with this new network, it means that Polygon and people who want to use Polygon can inherit Ethereum security. This is different to what the current proof of stake chain is like. So it's a huge moment for Polygon in breaking down those barriers and realigning themselves with Ethereum and really making steps to reduce this centralization and risks that, you're not really associated with Ethereum at this point. So really keen to see how they're going, because it's a major step forward. As again, the high level here is that it's major steps towards their goal of becoming an Ethereum secured network.
Yeah, sure. I think the significance also with that, zkEVM, there was sort of another, use of that term and language in sort of another sort of area of news or announcement from Polygon in our sort of altcoin report from March. So I'll get it up on screen here. Could you maybe explain what that partnership was and how come there's this other mention of zkEVM with Polygon
so there
as
was
well?
Another major announcement, which is why we really want to cover it for our members. The big announcement was Immutable X, one of the major gaming platforms that's Ethereum aligned, partnered with Polygon to create their own sort of Ethereum secured and Polygon secured network. So what will happen here is MATIC may be involved for staking in a variety of ways, but ultimately it will be secured by Ethereum. And what they're doing here is they're just coming up and partnering together. Traditionally, people thought maybe competitors, but what we're seeing is that Immutable X is this big gaming hub, and then we have Polygon who provides a lot of the infrastructure. So I think it doesn't make sense for Polygon to go too deep into creating their own games and the gaming platform itself. So they're really looking to partner with Immutable X, who is the hub for gaming, and Immutable X needs to scale. So this is where they can have this happy marriage where Immutable X provides the gaming and Polygon provides, the scaling and the core infrastructure.
Yeah, right. So it's almost going to be, this world, and maybe in the future, this is probably the first one of this sort of ecosystem of different, sort of separate zkEVMs where, MATIC has sort of utility in the sense that it'll be staked, but that core sort of Polygon sort of zkEVM that you were talking about, Nick, is it correct to say that that's a separate sort of solution, if you will, that will continue to roll out like through the coming months?
We're going to see, I think, roll out closer to the end of the year with more specifics on exactly how it's working. But at a high level, it will be secured by Ethereum eventually. The keyword here is eventually, because these things roll out really slowly and centralized. So it's not going to be a case where they're going to inherit Ethereum security right away. But as they launch this thing, I think we'll start to see greater decentralization of that network itself. But it's very complicated because they do take a long time to reach that level. At the moment, we have big networks at the moment like Optimism and Arbitrum, who are still working their way at, trying to decentralize and becoming as Ethereum aligned as possible.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's easy to forget that, that decentralization is a spectrum, is what we sort of talk about. And, yes, the likes of Arbitrum, Optimism are inheriting their security from Ethereum, like this eventual Polygon zkEVM will. But, there's still centralization sort of vectors that, as you said, Arbitrum and Optimism, very sort of technologically advanced challenges that they're trying to solve to sort of decentralize. The sequencing layer is what it's known as, and that I'm sure Polygon will have to get through at some stage. Maybe just some other sort of highlights, Nick, in March that, you sort of, covered in our report. Which ones did you want to sort of kick off?
Maybe we could get off the mobile gaming space in general, because there was one or two announcements in that space. And these were, I think, Korean-led gaming companies who were in the mobile gaming space. They've both partnered with Polygon to, I think, deploy on the proof of stake network. So more of these sort of games, these applications, these experiences, are still being catered to Polygon, and Polygon still continues to have one of the best business development teams in the space. We're always seeing all these partnerships building, and it's clear a lot of these teams are wanting to build on Polygon. I think we can also extend the partnerships to things like Salesforce, who are also looking at diving into Polygon, using it as like a layer for potential membership, like what we saw with Starbucks, to make it easy to create these NFT gated platforms and membership features easily for other companies who want to get involved.
Yeah, no, it's a case of another month, another sort of series of really high profile partnerships, as you've sort of, illustrated there. And I'm sure, we'll probably see the same thing in this month and many others throughout 2023 and beyond. I suppose that Salesforce one is sort of, helps also illustrate the sort of just, flexibility or just the variation in sort of Polygon's, different arms and divisions, and ultimately its use cases. As you pointed out, the likes of Immutable, where it's kind of strictly just on gaming, which is fine. Gaming's an enormous market. But as you said, Polygon, yes, they can provide the infrastructure for Immutable, but ultimately, that is their focus, infrastructure. And then they have their business development team, which goes out and, partners with, yes, the gaming sort of studios, as you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. But then, we've seen, like, as we've talked about on other sort of videos, the likes of Starbucks working with them, so you got like a coffee sort of retail store. And yeah, it's quite amazing to see the MATIC network has come, what was formerly the MATIC network, come so far as we've been covering it over sort of the years. Maybe just to leave it, Nick, in closing, So probably throughout the rest of 2023, what would you sort of have as your sort of the targets or things you're just going to be monitoring, the most important things you'll be monitoring with respect to
One
Polygon?
of the major things is their ongoing tests and trials with Starbucks. Starbucks have rolled out their loyalty NFT program to its users now, which started as a test and is now really been opened up to the public. That would be a major one, just to see how the uptake is like, whether they continue to use Polygon and NFTs, and whether they're getting real unique value out of it. If it proves to be a fad and they're not really getting much utility through the customers, then we may be quite alarmed if we start to see that die off, and then an eventual partnership that may no longer be. So that's going to be one to watch, as it will have major impacts, because other brands will likely follow the same route as Starbucks, because they're the big name that has really gotten in and tested the market. And I'm sure a lot of other brands are looking at what's going on with Starbucks. So yeah, if it's good, we could see more brands enter the space. If they choose not to, then I think that may be some sort of cause for alarm, I think.
Yeah, but that's an excellent point. It's no pressure Polygon, but a lot of the crypto sort of asset classes and industries sort of, following your lead. So hopefully they can gain some traction. And of course, we'll continue to sort of cover it throughout 2023 and beyond. As I did say earlier, this was an example of just one of the 5 altcoins that the team here at Collective Shift covers in sort of our monthly altcoin reports, where we are rotating different assets every month. And that's one of 3 reports that we do monthly for members, of course, in addition to all of our other content. So to find out more about what we do here at Collective Shift, do head over to the website at collectiveshift.io. And of course, I do recommend signing up to our newsletter. You can access that at collectiveshift.io/newsletter. Thanks for joining us.